Welcome to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. This is Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. And here we are once again in the worldwide headquarters and studio of the Planetary Gig Society, and delighted to have here today a great friend, great musician, Mr. Alan Holmes. Welcome, Alan.
Oh, thanks so much, Jeff.
I'm so glad that you're here today. We have known each other for quite some time, which has been very special for me. I've kind of admired you for a long time and your musical prowess. And my particular, I guess, your claim to fame with me is that you taught me harmonica for quite some time and got me over a hump that I was having. So I'm always appreciative of that. But I'd like to talk a little bit today about music in your life. So maybe just a bit of background. I mean, you're from the D.C. area, I think, aren't you?
I did. I grew up in Northern Virginia, about 5 miles outside of Washington, D.C.
You went to school here, and
yeah, went to school and college not too far from here.
And what was the first thing you remember in your life about music? Was your parents? I know your brother was into music, but you were born and then went to school and what have you. But did your parents listen to music growing up? What was kind of the inspiration for you to get involved in music?
I think that my earliest memory of music is of my mother singing. She would sing campfire songs she learned in Girl Scouts, some popular songs, and they did. They listened to sort of kind of folk and rock and roll of the time, in the 60s and the 70s. And of course the radio was, but I don't consider those very meaningful in my own sort of musical endeavors. But those were my first experiences with music.
Yeah. Did your parents play music? I mean, instruments?
No. My mother played a little bit of drums in college, but I never really heard her do that. My brother was a musician his entire life and is a professional musician today. And we had just a fantastic opportunity. It started when I was in 5th grade. I was just so fortunate to have great musical directors. There was a man named Mr. Engel who was a saint. I used to get kicked out of his class 2 or 3 times a week, and I deserved it. But he was great, and he validated me, and he supported me. And then when I was in junior high school, I had Mr. Haran. He was amazing. We had a jazz band when I was in middle school. That carried on through high school. I was taking 2 periods of band a day. I was playing keyboards, trombone, baritone. And then I was in the McLean Jazz Workshop, which was a big band run by Jeff Cummins. It's still going today. And we traveled all over the country and abroad. I was 15, 16 years old playing shows. It was just a really fortunate opportunity that I was allowed to be immersed in musical education.
Yeah. So what was so I guess your brother, who was older, right?
Correct.
He started playing music first, I guess.
Yeah, he started taking piano lessons probably just before I did.
And how did he get? What was the instigation? What was the trigger for him to say, "Boy, I really want to do this"? Do you know? How old was he?
I think he wanted to outdo me because he was jealous. No, I'm just, I don't really know. I would be interested to ask him that. I mean, he's currently the musical director and the baritone saxophonist for the Navy Commodores here in D.C.
So what age was he when you remember him first playing music?
Oh gosh, I guess we had piano lessons together for a while, and I mean, I must have been. I'm really bad with time and dates and ages, but I'll take a wild guess. I'm thinking maybe I was 5, and he probably started about the same time. We took piano lessons for years.
And your parents were very supportive of
Oh
this.
yeah.
Yeah, but you got a lot of it through the school,
Through both, yeah.
the private lessons and school.
And school, yeah. And then the community band stuff after school. Yeah.
And what kind of music did you really did you have a main love as you were a young person? Did it change from, sort of pop to blues or what have you? Was there a trajectory of your musical interests that you remember?
I would say so. I think initially I really was interested in jazz. I certainly was exposed to sort of rock and roll, but I remember really first being moved by jazz and then blues. I used to listen to Steve's Blues Room, and I used to tape it on cassettes. And then erase, and then I'd retape the cassette so the quality was worse, but I would eliminate the songs I didn't like. And that was my first exposure to the harmonica and to really great blues music. But I had always listened to sort of jazz, and then my trajectory took a very bad turn, and I got into classic rock when I was in my early 20s, And fortunately, I outgrew that.
So I think of you as a harmonica player and a lot of varieties, but blues was one of your main interests, I guess. But you certainly played a lot of, I guess, jazz harmonica.
Yeah, I love the blues, I love the jazz, and I love traditional gospel, old gospel. Actually, I really love any genre of music as long as it's from really skilled masters of musician, of their instruments, and any genre really. But I'm, as my friends will say, I'm a real asshole about it. I'm really picky. There are certain bands that everyone likes that I really just dislike, and I have a hard time listening to any music that I don't find beautiful.
What was the instigation or your inspiration for playing harmonica? Did you heard a song and you said, "Boy, I want to get a harmonica"? How did it become kind of your main instrument?
I had I had a harmonica, a little pocket pal harmonica, and I learned to play. He's Got the Whole World in His Hands from the little insert.
Mm-hmm. I remember those.
And that was my first experience, and I sort of fell in love with the sound, I think. I was playing many other instruments, but the harmonica sound there was something about it, and there was something about breathing in as I played and out. It was really before I ever even really heard the harmonica. I think I was drawn to it. So
a little bit of fast forward. The first time I went to Blues Week, I believe, was 1998, at the Davis and Elkins College, Augusta Heritage Center in Elkins, West Virginia. I think I remember you there, and I think you had started going sooner than that, maybe early 90s. And by that time, I think you were in your 20s maybe, and you had really, harmonica was your main instrument, and you had really focused on it for a long time. Had you been taking, is that right? And had you been taking lessons with harmonica players, or did you just kind of figure it out?
I did both. I really learned from records, trying to imitate, George Harmonica Smith and Little Walter and, Sonny Boy Williamson's. But I was exposed to great harmonica teachers at Davis and Elkins was the first time. I actually heard Howard Levy play, and I went to a bunch of his shows, and I asked him, and he's, after the show he said, "Oh, I'm teaching this class," and it was actually the year he stopped teaching and Sandy Weltman took his place. But I was exposed to really great players. I was exposed to playing the diatonic harmonica chromatically for the first time. And, I took lessons with Charlie Sales there.
Right, I remember Charlie Sales playing on the street of D.C.
Yeah, he was great at Davis and Elkins. I loved his class. Yeah. I was exposed to such great harmonica players, and not just the instructors. I took lessons with Charlie Sales, with Sandy Weltman, who had studied with Howard for many years, Howard Levy, and of course Phil Wiggins, who I really consider probably my most valuable mentor. I mean, he's just been so fantastic over the years. I've done projects with him, and just a great player. And the other students, I mean, I met Dennis Grunling at Augusta, and I think it was 1994 or something like that.
Wow.
I met him a long time ago. So it was just so fantastic to be immersed in jam sessions and people playing the blues and passionate about the blues.
Well, I remember first going to Augusta, having been bitten by the harmonica bug, walking into Joe Falisco's class, and he's doing train songs, and I didn't know what was going on with that. But Joe Falisco had an amazing effect on my life and my playing.
Oh, likewise. And I met Joe before Augusta, but I really got to know him there. And that's where he taught me the train, which I still play almost every day.
Do you really?
Sure,
Wow.
sure.
Well, it's a great. It's I thought blues. What does train harmonica songs have to do with the blues? But it has to do with so many things. You were talking about the breathing in and out, and boy, that's something where you breathe in and out a lot doing train songs.
Very fast, very fast.
So you had a number of students, and you taught for a long time, sort of a workshop down on Capitol Hill at Pearl's house, and you had a number of guest instructors who were fabulous harmonica players there.
Yeah, I did. I love teaching that class because there was the same core group of people that came for years, and then of course there would be some people that would kind of pop in for 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, I had guest instructors. I had Phil Wiggins, Fred Yannet, Howard Levy, Adam Gussow. I had, Dennis Gruling, Joe Falisco, Richard Slay. I mean, the list kind of goes on. Annie Raines, and it was so great for me to sort of watch them teach as well. But that was a fantastic experience, and we should just transcribe old, like, pioneer of the blues harmonica tunes, sort of note for note. We used to just learn them note for note, and then do our own thing. Try to express ourselves and take some risks. And
Yeah. So what will you say about the students? I mean, watching students, well, like me, people who are trying to learn to bend, trying to learn to really get the right feel of the harmonica for them. You must have seen a lot of improvement, frustration.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think when people sort of grow through the process, whether it's learning some sort of specific technique with their tongue blocking, or whether it's learning how to speak in a way that's beautiful with through the phrasing development. I mean, I think it's so great to see people kind of light up and experience that and like what they do. And of course, some people don't stick with it, and there's a lot of jokes about the harmonica,
I'm sure you have some.
So some people it didn't stick, but I saw very many students just continue to develop their passion for it and get better and better, yourself included. I mean, you did beautiful things with it.
Well, one of the things I thought at some point, because I have, at various parts of my life and my musical career, thought, I just want to learn this one thing. I just want to learn this song. And I worked on Little Walter's Blue Midnight for months and months, and I thought, gee, learning a song can practically give meaning to your life. And you were talking at one point about in your counseling practice, seeing that the learning music sort of is similar to people going through life.
Absolutely. I think, and again, the medium doesn't matter, whether it's music or painting or dancing. The medium is not important, but the process of pursuing the mastery of one of those art forms things pop up, struggles, hardships. I don't practice enough. I don't like the way I hate my music. I never sound good. I mean, all these things that we say to ourselves that we have to sort of get through, I feel like they parallel our personal life issues, our issues with our families and our loved ones and our friends. So pursuing something creative is like a fast track for personal growth. It makes these things sort of come to the surface, which I think is beautiful. It's hard. It's not easy, but it's beautiful.
You have to kind of learn to keep going. If you want it, it kind of depends on what you want, I suppose.
Yeah. And I agree with what you said earlier. When you were talking about learning that little Walter tune, when I learn, a beautiful song, sort of note for note, nuance for nuance, it sort of seeps into me in this permanent way that is really indescribable. It's like you have to experience it to really understand it. I remember when I transcribed and learned, with some help, Lester Young's Body and Soul. I mean, just his ideas and sort of figuring out what he did, or Sharp Harp by George Harmonica Smith. Same thing. It's like, and then I found myself, kind of borrowing from that or using bits and pieces of it almost unconsciously in my improvisation. So I think learning, the master's pieces like note for note is just a really great way to get better and to learn.
So, it seems to me that, we'd kind of all be better off if we had a little more music in our lives. Do you have thoughts about that, what you've seen, particularly, as a result of your counseling practice, what effect music does have on people's lives?
I think for the people that really are drawn to it, that love it, it can be very powerful. It moves us. I mean, I can listen to the same piece over and over again 1,000 times and be moved to tears. If it's Nina Simone singing "No Me Quita Pa" or really any of the the musicians that I just find so dear. I never get tired of it. I can just be moved over and over again, which is amazing. It's like, that's power, to have that sort of influence over someone emotionally, and it's not just, I don't even know if it emotionally does it justice. It like goes deeper, the soul or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it moves people. Beautiful music moves people.
It's pretty powerful stuff. I mean, I guess we're vibrations, and music is vibrations, and it's some sort of beautiful vibrations.
And it really can be. It's. I don't like to use this word anymore, but I can't find a better word. It trumps sort of genre and particular aspects of. Hey, did you ever see Pavarotti and James Brown sing "It's a Man's World" together? I mean, you can see it on the video, and so you got these two very different musicians, and they come together and they just play so beautifully, and the connection between them. I mean, you can see it. When James Brown smiles, and it just moves me. Just moves me.
Yeah. So, we're having this conversation as part of Planetary Gig Talk, and this comes out of the Planetary Gig Society with our intention of creating peace, making connections through music. It seems to me that that's something that, musicians are so amazing. The great musicians are just kind of in awe of what they can do, and how, tens of thousands of people can be in a giant stadium bobbing up and down at the same time to the music. It's how much it moves us. So do you have thoughts about what that power means? What other things, maybe we could do to use the power of music in a constructive way to help out? We're kind of got some tough times, and in the world. Any thoughts about that?
I think exposing people to beautiful music, I think teaching it, all ages, encouraging people to do it. I think having conversations and focusing on developing the skills around it. I kind of have a hard time with this natural talent born to be. I really believe it's about practice and skill, and so I mean, you're asking kind of a bigger picture questions. I think sort of. I just think the prevalence of music in society is just essential, and I don't think we do so well in this country compared to other places that I've lived in the world and traveled to. You know, music is just a part of life in some other parts of the world. Like it's woven into culture. Here, you know, we sing happy birthday and for he's a jolly good fellow when something happens good at work, but I don't think, unless you're a musician or you're really passionate about it, I think it's even more important for us to make sure it's in the schools and people have the opportunity to learn and have instruments, and yeah, it's got to keep going.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's sort of humbling. It can be very frustrating practicing, you know, trying to learn up the neck on the guitar right now and getting those fingers in the right place, and you just have to keep doing it and doing it. You know, I have been focused quite a bit recently on some of the research they're doing, music and the brain, and I've been studying a lot of sources. To your point, I think there are studies that say that there isn't really such thing as musical talent, you know, that what musicians really demonstrate is just a lot of hard work and practice, deliberate practice, continuing and with the intention of, you know, getting better.
Yeah.
So I think that's right. It does teach you a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
To work at it.
It's growth. Yeah, and it takes passion and love. You know, I think that's a part of it. Yeah, I recently saw one program. I think it was the Morgan Freeman show that I actually have really enjoyed. But they were studying musicians' brains, and they found that jazz musicians that improvise turn off the part of the brain that self-criticizes, that critiques itself.
Wow.
Which is
good thing.
Yeah, it's a very good thing.
Because we could be pretty self-critical creatures.
As long as you're skilled, it's a great thing. If you're not, if you're not skilled, maybe you need to turn it back on.
Yeah.
No, but that's a line we walk, right? I mean, that's you know, just sort of the unbridled expression. I think the structure's important. The structure of whether it's a blues, the chords, or the sort of what's come before you, like the etiquette, the musical etiquette. I don't even know what to call it. You know, you can't take a blues scale and just take any notes and put them together and have it be the blues. I mean, there's a lot of tradition and history and things that have come before us. So we have to be careful not to just sort of be unbridled. But at the same time, we do have to turn off the part of our brains that criticize ourselves, because it's risky to improvise and express yourself.
I know. Sing too loud. Boy, people might hear you.
Right.
But I think one of the things I want to mention, because one of the great joys that I've had is the many times that we've been sitting outside on the porch or various places and playing music and singing with people. When you finish a really nice song that everybody's sort of participating and really just feeling, it just feels so good. It's been, you know, really special times, and I want to kind of thank you for actually being part of my life to kind of make that happen, to help me with the harmonica, to teach me about singing and about other things. It's been really very special. I think we've had some good times that have been
Absolutely.
very powerful.
And my pleasure as well, Jeff. Absolutely.
Okay, so really have enjoyed talking with you about this. Thanks very much for the time, and we'll look forward to talking more soon and playing some music.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Alan. You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society. We talk with musicians and others about the power of music and how we can use music to help create a better world. Please check out our website, www.planetarygigs.org, for information about some of the organizations promoting music, resources about the power of music, including movies, books, articles, and new research on music and the brain. We do welcome your support. You can donate to the Planetary Gig Society, which is a 501c3 charitable organization, on the website. You can also get a free email signature block demonstrating your support for the Planetary Gig Society. Please also follow us on Facebook, Planetary Gig Society, Twitter, @Planetary Gigs, Instagram, Planetary Gigs, and submit your input, short videos, comments on the power of music in your life. Remember to use the hashtag Planetary Gigs when you do. So we hope you will check out our podcast again soon. Please subscribe if you'd like, and we look forward to more great conversations about the power of music. Planetary Gig Society, making connections through music with the intention of creating peace. That's what we're going to do.